Ladies and gentlemen, this is not a paid advertising. TheOnlyGround.com, the THE onlyground.com is one of the most amazing places for information that I consistently go to. If you guys want to have conversations about our old interviews or even topics that we don't discuss, the group of people that are on the onlyground.com message boards are some of the most brilliant that I have ever come across. Those little like knick-knack facts that we get here and there, that's where a lot of it comes from. Please check out the link in the bio.
Welcome to the show. I am MMA insider and Herb Dean's dog sitter, Joey Venti, and you're listening to the MMA History Podcast, the only podcast dedicated 100% to the preservation of mixed martial arts history. Interviews and stories about the early days of MMA direct from the men who lived it. Hundreds of interviews, thousands of hours of research, all conducted by the most obsessed mind in the business, the MMA detective Mike Davis. Join us as we document the history of the sport we all love. Welcome back to the MMA History Podcast. I am Joey Venti. I'm with the host of the show, Mike Davis. He is the MMA detective. I am Herb Dean's dog sitter, and today we have a big show. Today's episode is 6'10" and 265 on a good day. Today's guest is UFC heavyweight title challenger and all-around scary human being, Gan the Giant McGee. Gan, thank you for being here.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys.
So Gan, you have got an incredibly interesting career that I think flies under the radar of a lot of people. And there's three very important things that take place in your career, and we're going to get to them. It's just we're going to take our time. Take our time. So let's start from the beginning. On your Wikipedia, it says you're a California State College, a college state champion for California, which is kind of an oxymoron.
Right. There was a tournament when I was in college, wrestling at Cal Poly, that was called the California State Championship. And I won it. So,
Okay.
Now, it was just a tournament, an invitational, and there was a guy named Stephen Neal in California who was a three-time national champion who wasn't there. So he's the guy who went and played, after wrestling in college, just went and played professional football for the Patriots.
After not playing in college, right?
Not playing in college at all.
That's right.
And they would call him out, like, I'd watch a Patriots game and they'd be like, "Did you see that block by Stephen Neal?" And he would just hammer people. He was a stud.
He never played football in college and played in the NFL?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
and could have won. I think he won the world title once. He would have probably beat everyone and been an Olympic champion if he'd wanted to go that route.
Holy cow. Freak athlete, huh? Okay.
Yeah.
What about in high school? Like, where do you pop up in high school in terms of wrestling?
Well, I loved wrestling. Oh man, like that's the beginning, right? The beginning is I was a bad kid who liked to get in fights in junior high, and then went to high school and discovered sports and got I remember the freshman football, I nailed the quarterback on the other team, and I was like, oh man, like this is going to be trouble. Like the police are going to be called. And what happened is, the coach slapped me on the ass and said, "Great game, like get out there and do it some more, And I was like, well, I love sports, and this is my calling in life, And it really, it gave me a way to focus those kind of aggressive male tendencies in a socially positive way, and kept me out of trouble. And so I'm very grateful to sports, and wrestling was just my love. I got into that. It wasn't until my sophomore year. I didn't wrestle as a freshman, and I just was kind of a natural at it. I took to it. I learned the moves really quickly. I remember I was at a tournament, and between between a couple matches, the coach shows me a move, and then I went out, and the next 15 minutes later in a match, I hit the move full speed, and he was like, that's great. You can pick this stuff up fast. So yeah, I guess that's where it started, and I did pretty well in high school. Won my league my first year. Won the North Coast section the next year. My senior year, I was ranked first in the state. Won my section, North Coast section. went to state, and third match at state kind of had a freak elbow dislocation that happened. It was a weird, like I chose down second period, and I stand up, and the guy goes kind of high, so I sort of do the, push up on both hands, come up to my feet, and right as my right arm is leaving the ground, he's tried to circle me for a cradle, and I watch my elbow just swing backwards, like just this
Oh,
weird, some kind of weird force that I have no idea why it happened. I've had no, it's been no issue, nothing like that since. And that was it. I was done. And so then the guy who I beat in my section finals got third in state. The guy who got third in my section, who I had beaten, won state that year.
And what
So,
what college what college did you wrestle for?
Cal
well,
Poly.
so my first year, because of the injury, I wasn't particularly heavily recruited. There were some of the coaches I'd met at like wrestling camps and stuff in the summers, who were wanting to recruit me, like the Iowa State guy. I saw him later, and he's like, "What happened to you?" Like, but because of the injury, I wasn't recruited. So my coach went out to University of Iowa, I think, for the national championships or something like that. And he walked in, he's like, "Hey, I got a guy who's going to walk onto your team." So my first year of college, I went to University of Iowa and wrestled for the great Dan Gable, and it was a lot of fun. Like that was good times. They'd been penalized. They got caught giving out too much money by the NC2A. So they were allowed 10
Uh,
scholarships. They were giving out too much money. So they got penalized something like 5 scholarships. So their entire team was there on half of what other teams had. And like 10 scholarships is nothing for a wrestling team. That's pretty bad as is. So there's no scholarship money. So I ended up transferring to Cal Poly and getting a scholarship to wrestle there.
okay. So, like when you were saying you were wrestling in high school, California, when you were there, it would have been what, like in the early 90s. It was kind of a hot, like later on, it became a really big hotbed for mixed martial arts. Was there any other people that you recognized from high school, like in your brackets, that wound up in the UFC at any point in time?
No, not that I can think of.
Okay. Okay. All right. So now how do you connect with John Hackleman?
Well, well, I was wrestling at Cal Poly, and Chuck Liddell would come to like dual meets and things like that. And so I met him. I met Chuck, and then he was like, "Hey, come to my gym in the off season and work out." And so I started doing that, and I really enjoyed it. Um, I like like I like the submission grappling and that kind of thing. It's just like learning new moves and new positions, and um, then started learning some stand up. And then eventually was like, man, I think I want to fight more than I want to wrestle. So like my last year of eligibility, I just stopped going to school and went, I'm gonna go fight. But that was Chuck. That was slow kickbacks boxing back in the day. John wasn't a part of it at that time. He came in a year or two later.
So John Hackleman is what Chuck introduced you to John Hackleman. And who else was a part of the group at the time? Were you were there pre Jason Von Flew?
Yeah, Jason Bond flew. He showed up in that early time too. He came in around that time as well.
Okay. Okay.
Um, and then
He
there was Scott Adams, there was Eric Schwartz, there was so many tough guys.
was Sandlin? Was Sandlin there? Was it
He
Chuck
was
Sand?
around, yeah. Chuck
Okay.
Sandlin,
And then Cruz Gomez,
Cruz Gomez.
Tony D'Souza, and then Teixeira. Were you there when Teixeira and Eric Schwartz fought?
Yeah, yeah, I fought that night too. Um, yeah, Eric smashed him. I mean, he just uh Teixeira shot on him, he sprawled him down, and just from that sprawled position, just punched him in the body until he broke ribs and stopped the fight.
That's pretty incredible. That's
Yeah,
pretty
Eric
incredible.
Eric was a very hard puncher, an incredible fighter. He had really heavy hands. I think it was more like wrists. He had like we called them kinkle wrists. He had these just his wrists were as big as his hands, and he hits. It was like getting hit with a brick. He hit his punch so hard, and he had a rock hard head. He could really take a beating. Very tough guy.
And John Hackleman has entered the chat.
Oh, cool.
John, welcome.
Welcome back.
What's up?
Hey, John, how you doing?
What's up? Hey, how you liking your new gig?
New what?
Your new gig, your new job.
Oh, yeah. I didn't end up taking that job. Virginia got offered a much better job, so we went that route.
Oh, okay. No wonder. I've been asking people about the new giant because I knew a lot of guys that work there, and they're like, "What are you talking about?" I go, "Hello, there's like a giant working there," and they're like, "I don't know," because there is that one big guy, Singson, you know. But yeah, so okay, I'm glad. It's great. What kind of jobs you got?
Oh, it's actually the same nursing, basically the same department and everything, making the same money. The whole thing ended up being just ridiculous. So they basically
Okay.
gave her like something like 7 months off with a severance, and
Wow.
That's good.
Man, that nursing is such a good job. So
Yeah.
many opportunities. Yeah. So what are we talking about? What are we talking about? Gan, the McGee, the killer
The
McGee,
giant.
the
Yeah.
giant.
John, when Gan walks through the door at your gym, like what's running through your head? I mean, you got an enormous human being that didn't play basketball and wrestled in high school and college.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't that much, that big of a deal. That part is just because most guys don't know what to do with it. But then, you know, I mean, they're just kind of not as coordinated sometimes, not as fast. Um, but then when you watch, then all of a sudden he started. It's like, holy shit, this guy like knocking people out, and so he not only had the size. That's what she said, but he whatever. Stop it. But he knew,
How to use it.
I mean,
Yeah.
he knew how to use it, and so that makes you like, I mean, that makes you like a lot more, just a lot more dangerous and a lot more efficient. And the striking came easy for him. A lot of tall guys that come in, wrestlers and stuff. They just they don't put that coordination. They have wrestling coordination, but not really fighting
Yeah.
coordination or punching
Yeah.
coordination. And he had both, so it's like okay. And then a lot of guys who are really big gassed out a lot quicker, and he didn't do that. So I mean, started checking all the boxes, and then we realized, hey, we got a potential champion on our hands, and that we did. I mean, yeah, he went. I think he went like, I could be wrong, so but don't hold me on it. But I think he went on like a 12-0 win streak or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah. He went on an incredible run.
Yeah, so it's
But
like,
so there's a lot, like you said, a lot of boxes get checked. He's tall, he's capable, uses his body, has got good hips, difficult to take down, and his length is his advantage because he knows how to use it. Like, you're printing money at that point. You know what I mean? The heavyweight that has all those attributes is pretty
yeah,
incredible.
yeah.
So
You worry about them. You worry about the ones the things that aren't there, because I mean, a tall guy is more susceptible for a lot of things than a short guy, but he wasn't. And a lot of tall guys get taken down more easily, get hit, like especially short, stocky, like Mike Tyson types. Um, but he seemed to he had we had a champion on our hands, and
yeah,
yeah, well, the UFC thought so too. So,
yeah.
bam.
So Dan, Chuck Liddell seems to be one of the underlying factors of drawing people to your gym, especially like at an early time prior to his rise. Gan is
Yeah,
another one of those guys.
yeah. Yeah. It was kind of, and we've lost that lately, I'm sad, and I kind of wish it would come back, but then most of the time I'm glad because I've been doing it for a long ass time, but I had Chuck. I did Chuck and Chuck and Chuck, and then all of a sudden Chuck started training, or open a gym, and it was kind of like it went through that gym, and then if they were good enough, then they came to our gym, the pit, and then those guys are the main guys like Gan and some of the other guys that worked their way through that. But it was a good I can't even think of the word. It was like
Good
a
mix.
trial ground. It was like
Yeah.
a breeding ground for and if they were good enough, then they'd come over to our gym and we'd all work with them, and it worked like that. And Gan was one of those guys that, Chuck knew him from, wrestling. I think it was wrestling in college or the bouncing. I can't remember which one. Which one was it?
Well, I met him at college wrestling matches. Like, he'd come and
Okay.
watch wrestling matches, and we started chit chatting there. Started going in and training in the off seasons, and then I started working with those guys down in the bars. Started
Yeah. Okay.
bouncing, so
Yeah. So
So,
that's
so,
what
yeah. So Gan, you also, all right. Sometimes when people tell stories, oftentimes there's, it gets a little tweaked along the way. Chuck Von Flew, I think I heard it for Ian Banuelos, all said, no, we got in fight with Navy SEALs twice. I
yeah.
really, dude, I really went on a hunt for this. It's 1,000% true. You guys actually, it wasn't just guys in the Navy. You guys actually fought Navy SEALs on
I've
two
had
different
that story
occasions.
confirmed by Navy SEAls, so it's
Yes,
1,000% true. It happened.
yes. Would
Yeah,
you
yeah, it
would,
happened.
would you want
Happened
to take
two
us through it?
times. Yeah, it
Take us
happened two
through it.
times. There was the first time. Like, Chuck wasn't there. A lot of the guys weren't there. It was a weird night where a bunch of them weren't there. It was me. It was like Aiden Baxter, Preston Schaefer, and this is way back in the day. I was working behind the bar at library, and this guy. I don't know who these people are, at all at the time. But this guy Dex, uh, Preston Schaefer, and so I run out and I grab the guy just in a rear naked, and I'm not squeezing him out. I'm just using it to control him and taking him out the door, and all these people start grabbing me, and I'm like, hey, I'm not hurting this guy. I'm just taking him outside. I work here. And then I start getting hit in the head. So I squeeze the dude out and drop him, and it's just on. I mean, it's just go time. I'm just it was nuts. I mean, there were guys that I dropped that night like 3, 4 times, and they'd get back up and get back in the fight. Um, there was, I remember a point in the fight where I've got I've got a guy on my back, I've got a guy on my left arm, I've got two guys holding on to my right arm, and so I just and a guy outside of that punching me. So I headbutt the guy on the top of my right arm. I pull my arm away from the guy holding it down at the wrist. I knock out the guy standing in front of me. You know, I I pivot. I pull the guy on my back over the top and dump him on his head. Uppercut the other dude who's holding onto my other arm, and then more guys pile on me, and I start the process over again. It was just an absolute knockdown, drag out fight. And it ended because they just kept getting up and jumping back in. It ended when the police showed up, and these guys take off. They head out. They try to leave through the back door, and they all get corralled by police there. And literally 25 Navy SEALs get arrested that night. So two 12-man teams, and the guy who's in charge of the team. Um, so that's the first one. That was a wild one. And so then
Wait. So do you guys press charges or do you shake hands? What takes place? I mean, Navy
it
SEALs
all
is a community that like they're trying to figure out who you are and you're going to try to figure out who they are.
Well, they're a community who when I meet them individually, they're guys I get along with and I like, and we have similar interests. And they're guys who are in groups are probably the biggest douchebags I've ever seen in my life. Like, as a group, when they go out, they are completely like, and I maybe it's just
Loud.
I've had these dealings with them over and over again. Well, they're just jerks. Like, they
Okay.
just cause trouble, and they don't police their own. Like, I've dealt with bounce. I was bouncing and managing bars is kind of like a roaming, security guy for multiple bars for decades. And I've dealt with Marines, I've dealt with rugby teams, I've dealt with all these different groups. No one was as bad as these guys.
Okay.
I don't know what's going on in this culture, but it was not a good scene.
Okay. So while you were obviously handling your business, was Chuck also doing the same thing at pretty much the same time?
He wasn't there that night. He was there for the second one. For Navy SEAL number 2 years later.
Is that the one in Hawaii?
No, this one was again in downtown San Luis. This one started at a different bar. I was managing. I was cruising around, and I rolled up, and the bouncers were having trouble kind of dealing with a guy who was like gouging eyes and doing all this stuff. So I grabbed the guy and just kind of pinned him into a wall, and they were calling the police, and we are just kind of waiting on the police. And the guy tries to stick a finger in my eye, so I shucked his arm off. I was like, "Yeah, you don't want to do that." He tries it again, and same kind of thing, give him another warning. And then third time, I just unload and just knock the guy out, right? Just pummel him. And then this thing just starts popping off where these guys just start, coming out of nowhere, and big, again, huge fight breaks out, but Chuck's there, a bunch of the guys, and it is just, we slaughter them that night. We'd knock them all out, and they would it'd calm down. They would wake up and start trying to fight again. We'd knock them out again, and it just kept going. And so it took forever. No cops showed up for probably 30 minutes. And then come to find out later, like that night, right around that same time, a guy at a local, at the Taco Bell got his throat cut. So every cop in town was dealing with this thing, and they all just let this fight go. They just weren't dealing with it. So yeah, that was fight number 2. And so then years later, the American Sniper movie comes out, and one of the cops I know comes up, and he kind of pulls me aside, and he's like, I went back and I looked over the paperwork from that first fight. One of those guys is Chris Kyle.
Wow. Wow.
And so I was like, really? Like, wow, okay, So I went and I looked the guy up online, and I was like, yeah, I think I recognize that guy. I think he's the guy who started the whole thing. He punch pressed him to start it. He's the guy who grabbed him in the chokehold, and they squeezed out. And I think I knocked him out at least 2 more times that night.
So that's when you roll into Mr. Hackleman's school and you say, man, these cardio exercises you're putting us through really paid off last night.
That's a big part of it in street fights. I mean, and just training as well. So you're relaxing, you're comfortable. But I've been jumped a lot of times, working in the bars, and it was always a matter of attrition to a certain extent. Like they would get tired and I wouldn't, and then it would, it'd be my game, or they would punch me a few times and it wouldn't do anything, and I'd punch them and it would do something.
So your first fight is August 14th, 1999, the Boss Rutan Invitational out in Denver, Colorado. How long had you been training prior to this fight?
I don't know, probably not very long, maybe a year or so.
Oh, so John Hackleman, you actually made him wait a little bit.
First fight. Yeah, I wasn't the manager per se. I might yes or no a fight here and there, but I wasn't the getter of the fights. I think it was Scott Adams back then, wasn't it?
I could see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was Scott and Chuck.
Yeah,
Scott and Chuck. Chuck. People don't know about Chuck and his. He had his hand in a lot of different things, and he did a lot more than like before his fights. Organizing where everybody was going to sit and flights for his family and just a lot of stuff behind the scenes. And one of the things was he would get people fights and stuff. But I was more the trainer, So yeah, I didn't get those fights.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
right out of the gates, you're taking on a UFC veteran. That's big time.
yeah, so you got your original opponent was Gabe Bo-Perthy. Did he leave after weigh-ins?
Well, it was supposed to be a tournament.
Okay.
So and I fought the first guy, and I just
Sam
took him down
Adkins.
and
Yeah, Sam
yeah, I just took him
Adkins.
down, pummeled him pretty good, just ground and pound. And then the second guy was supposed to fight. He said he had a cut on his hand. He had like it kind of looked like it was down by his fingernail. Wasn't that big of a deal, but he didn't want to fight, and then so he's like, oh, I'm injured, I can't fight, but I really wish I could, and starts doing that thing, and I'm like, well,
Yeah.
let's figure it out then. If you want to fight, let's fight. Like, I I really loved fighting, and the idea that people were paying me for it was just amazing. It's like I would do this for free. I love this sport. So
Joey, you're sitting in the locker room. You're a heavyweight, and Gan McGee is your next opponent. You got to hang now.
Might exaggerate it a bit.
Yeah, I think I'd take a way out as well. I'm not gonna lie. I think I'm right now.
And you won your first round. You get to go out saying, I won that day. Yeah, that's tempting.
Yeah. I wanted to fight him, but
Yeah.
just
Doctor wouldn't let me.
Doctor. Yeah, doctor. So
I would
Europe,
have put some tape on it.
You know, guys like you, all you guys, you guys think you're all fucking tough and this and shit and like that, but let me just say something, motherfucker. You know what I mean? I mean, sometimes it could take you out of, it could take you out of the game, man. You know what I mean? It hurts. Sometimes it even bleeds. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if you don't have your Midol nearby, what are you gonna do?
So you're in Denver, Colorado, heavyweight. Those things usually don't end well, but you finish. Yeah, because of the altitude. You knock out Sam Adkins, UFC vet, and then you wind up like a month later, September 18th, 1999. You're in the IFC number 5. Your original opponent is Scott Carson, where there's another issue. Do you remember that, Gan?
No,
Okay.
I don't.
It was your original opponent, and then Rickey Herro is your opponent. He's another 0-0 guy. Do you recall that fight?
Not off the top of my head, no.
Holy shit, dude. John Hackleman, you got a guy, it's a heavyweight. Usually, like, the wear and tear on a heavyweight is a little bit more than some of the lighter weight guys. And if you look at Gan's activity, his third fight, December 11th, 1999, Cobra Fighting Federation, you got Aaron Brink. So in a matter of just a few months, you got 3 fights, which is a lot for a heavyweight.
Yeah, I don't think I got hurt in any of those fights. So they were all pretty straightforward. I remember Aaron Brink. I remember that fight.
Wasn't he like a porn star or something?
Yes, Dick Delaware is his name. Yeah.
It was a weird one.
Joey's a big fan of this.
It was completely illegal. It was just a completely illegal fight.
Yeah.
I think it was bare knuckle. There weren't any gloves. We go into this kind of shady place, and there's like these, kind of porn girls, around. And yeah, we just have a fight, duke it out.
So Aaron Brink is your opponent, and were the Dog brothers involved in this fight as well?
Who?
The Dog brothers?
I don't know. I don't know who else was involved.
Okay. Marc Hall is a promoter. Do you remember him?
Where was that one?
It was in California.
Cobra Fighting Federation.
At a casino.
Yeah. Was it one of those like really like kind of seedy casinos?
Well, yeah. His show right after this, he had the intergender championship, but this was at the Chihuahua Casino in Anza, California.
Okay.
Whatever that is.
I don't remember that. I remember some just kind of shady place that we went to.
Yeah.
I don't remember a casino.
So this is around a time where Marc Hall is demanding that Ken Shamrock support his organization. And there was a little tiff between the two where Marc Hall ends up calling Shamrock's, I think his wife at the time. And it ended up in a King of the Cage bathroom with just settling that dispute between the two of them. How was Marc Hall as a promoter?
I honestly don't remember.
John?
I don't remember him at all.
Dr. John.
Who's
I dealt with fights.
Yeah, I don't remember Marc Hall. I just like
it was the Cobra Fighting Federation where like it was guys versus girls, drunk people from the audience. I mean, it was
that the one I don't think it was the one, but there was one that was at a really shady place, and the cops ended up. We all had to just get the fuck out. Was that wasn't that one? I don't think.
No, because this was on an Indian reservation, so it was shady, but it wasn't illegal, really.
Okay. Okay.
And Brink was 3-0. Did you ever interact with him afterward, Gan?
I saw his years later. I saw his brother, and I asked how Aaron was doing, and he said not very well. He said he was down at Dark Town. So.
Yeah.
Where
But
does
no,
that
I didn't
even
really see much of him
mean?
after that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he made his way through like reality shows and divorce courts and
Yep.
man, dude. And then his kid at the end. Oof.
Yeah, bad ending.
Have you ever seen the video where he's being interviewed about his son that did a mass liquidation at a place?
No.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's dark.
Oh my God, dude, it is so dark. He's just sitting there saying, yeah, my kid's not gay. And you're like, well, he did, end a lot of
Lucky
people's
dick.
lives. Yeah, but he ain't gay though. He ain't
Yeah.
gay. It was like, never mind like the mass carnage he caused. He's more concerned about his gender
Who?
identity.
Aaron Brink's
Yeah.
son?
Yeah, dude. Dude,
He
you
did a
gotta
mass
see.
shooting.
Yes. Dude, we gotta edit that. We're on YouTube.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Liquidation. Sorry, that's why you said
Liquidation.
that.
Yeah. Yeah, dude,
Gan,
it's so.
Gan's only close. Gan's like in the all American, beautiful, wholesome family. He doesn't do dark. I don't think. Do you,
Yeah.
Gan?
No,
Okay.
not
It's
at
That's a
good.
all.
dark. How dark do you get going out to fucking Bulls on a Friday night and hanging out for a couple minutes? How
I
dark?
don't even do that. I
We
just
don't even. Our lives don't get very dark in
no,
Slow County, do they?
not at all.
We
So,
got a pretty good life out here.
It's pretty great.
Well, I'm in
It's a pretty great
Vegas
place
right
to live.
now, but
so John Hackleman, I did more research on Gan McGee than probably my last five guests. There is nothing that jumps off the radar. It's all just straightforward business, nothing crazy, no bad business dealings. It is as straight laced as it gets. At a time where nothing was. Like at this time in 99, early 2000s, the MMA world's batshit crazy. Again, you just showed up, you fought, and you left.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I really just enjoyed fighting. The rest of it was just sort of a necessary evil I had to deal with. No, I was there for the sport, for love of the
But
sport.
you didn't gym jump, you didn't do any of that.
No, well, I mean, John had taken me around to some different gyms. I remember when I was just kind of working on the striking, he took me to a gym and had me knock out one of their heavyweights, just to give me a taste for it, before I had a fight coming up. We would train, people would come to us more, I think, back then. So we'd have guys come through and train with us. Like I knew Randy Couture from, I met him, in high school, and then kind of knew him through wrestling. He was coaching up at Oregon, and they were in our section or in our division or whatever it is for college, the Pac-10 or whatever it was. And so, I knew a lot of those guys. Those guys would come train with us. Yeah, but so I didn't have to really go a lot of places and do a lot of stuff. We'd go out to Vegas here and there and train with some guys. Yeah, no, not a lot.
John, would you ever bring him to like a traditional boxing gym to get some rounds in?
yeah. I think I brought you and Chuck to. Did I bring you guys to the LA gym?
Oh yeah,
Uh, I know I brought a couple of my guys there a few times. I brought in guys, and guys would fly in. We even had, the I think the greatest Olympic boxer ever from the United States, Howard Davis. And he
Yeah.
spent a lot of time. He would come here from Florida, and he would train with us, and we were lucky. And our timing was good. And then, just when Chuck was coming up, and he made a lot of connections, and he looked out for, guys like Gan and Glover. He was a big brother type to them, and he was very involved in their training and their, just growing into being a fighter, and that Chuck was a big part of that. And, I had my little part, and, it was a good little family gym, I think. Um, you know, I, I think it was pretty, not a lot of drama, a lot of people think there was all this, but if you look at most gyms, we had very little drama there. I don't know. To me, it was pretty, it was pretty just like, he was Bing Bing. What do you have? 14, 15 fights, won most of them, and then got a really nice, cool job in San Luis, working, at the bars, and, you know, married a great girl and had some great kids. And man, I don't know. I can't think of more, just the way it just happened, just one thing after another, and it was just got better and better. I don't know. That's how I see Gan's life, but
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but that's so I've always thought about it.
Yeah, the fighting was a great experience. We had a very, very close bunch of guys. I mean, we trained together, we worked together, we hung out together. It was pretty great. It was a good situation.
Yeah, there was much more good than bad. There was a couple of guys once in a while we'd have to get, I don't know, disciplined, or sometimes we kick them off the team if they were, causing too much drama. And but for the most part, going to other gyms though, I mean, it's like a lot worse. Our gym was pretty. I don't know. It was kind of fun. I think people had a lot of fun there. We had goofy senses of humor. Training out at the cage and the compound, I think was fun for everyone. And I don't know, it seemed like, and Gan always just fit right in. Gan went from zero to, the top, the fucking front of magazines, and being touted as, next UFC champion pretty quickly. And, he dealt with it pretty well. And
Yeah,
I
you were
don't
fast tracked. No, you were for sure
know.
fast tracked. You mentioned Howard Davis. So Howard Davis, was he on loan from the American Top Team at this time?
Yeah, yeah. We we bartered back and forth. I went down there a lot, and I brought people down there a lot, and they sent people here to us. We're like a cousin gym, kind of like AKA was, American Kickboxing Association or Academy. They sent a lot of guys down too, like even Cain Velasquez and some of their top guys. Um, and we kind of had that. We were a really small. We were a mom and pops, like when Gan was training at the gym. I mean, you know, like American Top Team, that's like a 40,000 square foot facility. My gym was like 1,400 square feet. My gym was 97% of my gym was a martial arts school for kids and adults that got their belts in Hawaiian Kempo. And then the
Mm-hmm.
fight team was just kind of, they were kind of the family on the side.
Yeah. So Dan Lambert from the American Top Team
Yeah. Yeah.
has funded more
Yeah.
opportunities for not only
Yeah.
people in his gym but people outside of his gym, more than
Oh
like
yeah.
anybody that I know. Like he, in my opinion, if there's a Hall of Fame for mixed martial arts, Dan Lambert should be in the Pioneer Wing, like
I
first
think he
ballot Hall of
is.
Famer.
I think
Is
he's in
he?
some kind of. I think he's in something for UFC. He's definitely been recognized, and probably not enough, but
Yeah.
he's helped and mentored a lot of fighters in that gym. They live there, and they I don't know. Yeah, I have nothing but great um, great feelings about American Top Team, and their school is run the way it's run. I think it's really exceptional.
Yeah, I see Mike Brown every once in a while.
Yeah.
So when we talk about veteran fighters, one of the boxes that has to be checked is a tournament. Like it's something that people who are probably about 25 to 27 years old, they'll never be able to get to experience. Yeah, maybe in Brazil, but not here in the United States or in Europe. And your next fight with the IFC is an 8-man tournament, IFC 7, May 3rd, 2000. It's a $10,000 winner take all tournament, which is pretty badass.
Yeah, that was good money back then. That was
Huge.
that was really good.
Yeah, huge money back then.
And I got to fight 3 times in the night. So you know, that's the real cool part, right? I got to fight 3 guys in the night.
Another interesting thing is that like
That's
the
what
time
she
limit,
said.
it was like a 10-minute time limit. Like 10-minute first round, I think 5-minute second round time limit. And you're dealing with heavyweights.
That's what she said.
Yeah, I don't think any of those fights went past the first round though, did they?
No,
They
No.
were pretty
I
fast,
think I think you stopped everyone in the first round, didn't you?
Yeah, you got Jason Jones. You knocked him out at 6 minutes 48 seconds, which
I opened his head up with an elbow. I mean, I got him with a good elbow.
That's an extraordinarily large amount of time for a heavyweight, especially at this level. And then you got standout wrestler Tim Lasik. He might be a good one, Joey, in the future.
Oh, hell yeah.
You knocked him out. He's 5-2-1. You knock him out at 438. And then you end up with Paul Buentello in the finals, who was 10-3 at the time. Buentello is legit. Like,
He
that's
trained with us. He came on and trained with us.
After or before?
What was it?
It was after.
Yeah.
It was years later. Yeah.
It was the years later. That was years later.
Yeah, it was a few years later.
Okay, it was at the cage. Yeah.
So Paul Buentello's 10-3. He beats Jason Godsey, absolute savage, and Rocky Batastin, a future opponent of yours. But Buentello, what do you recall about fighting him?
Well, Buentello, I think that's the I think it's the first time Chuck was like, "Go out, you can go out and strike a little bit instead of just ground and pound everyone at this point." And so I go out and then, I think I ate a leg kick, and Chuck was like, "Just take him down." He was very protective, and so I just took him down and got mount and elbowed him in the face a lot. And man, he quit. He tapped. He tapped. He stopped the fight.
So one of the interesting things about your career that gets largely overlooked is actually this fight. So Dr. Don Coletta and Larry Hazard are in attendance and heavily involved in the kind of trying to understand what this is about. And they said that knees to a grounded opponent, I think that took place against LASIK. It gets banned. It gets put on the banned rules list for the unified rules.
No, that wasn't at that point.
No.
That was not at that point. That had nothing to do with where that happened. Where that rule happened was at the was it a WEC, the first sanctioned fights in America, right? With the Boxing Commission. It was in New Jersey.
New Jersey.
And I went out and I had a fight, and it was a very weird experience dealing with the Boxing Commission, because we're having the rules meeting. And like they make up this rule, like no 12-6 elbow, no downward elbows. And they're explaining why, and they basically act out the scene from Kickboxer, the Van Damme movie, where the older brother gets elbowed in the back, like he gets knocked down on all fours, and then the guy comes up and elbows him in the back. And they literally, the two guys acted out. They have one guy get down and the other guy comes up and pretends to throw the elbow. And I'm like, that's a movie. That's not like, have you ever watched a fight? Like, where's this rule coming from? But that rule is in MMA for decades. That thing was around forever. But then that fight. I go out and I fight, and I took the guy down and kneed him in the head a lot, and it just a lot of knees. And they thought it looked scary, so then it became a rule that you couldn't knee to the head of a grounded opponent.
Okay, so wait, you know what, dude? That was my fault. Brad Gabriel is when that took place. That was Brad Gabriel. Fuck. All right, here it is. I do like mental illness type research, and there was 2 things that came up. They claim that you're the reason that knees to a grounded opponent, as well as the 12-6 elbow. They're saying that your fights were the reasons for that. Is there truth to either of those statements?
The knees to the head of a grounded opponent, yes. They made that rule change after my fight. So that's in the first sanctioned fight.
That's Brad Gabriel. I apologize. That's Brad Gabriel. That was a California fight. It was at
know.
IFC 7. No?
Big John McCarthy says the 12-6 elbow is your fault too.
Yes, that's where I got it from.
But Brad
I
Gabriel
was
in New
there in the
Jersey.
rules meeting. I
I
was
know.
there in the rules
New
meeting,
Jersey?
and the
Yeah.
reason for the 12-6 elbow
What's
was
that movie?
these guys watched a movie. They watched the movie.
God.
They had no idea what they're talking about. I don't think they watched any MMA fights. And I remember saying, like in the meeting, I'm like that's from this movie. And the guy's like, kind of like, what? And I'm like, that's from the movie. That's not going to happen. And I think he said something like, can you guarantee that won't happen? And I was like, yes, I guarantee no one will ever do that.
I put my name on it. Yeah.
Like, oh, sorry. What do I need to sign? And then the promoter kind of came over and shut me up because he was like, if these guys just on a whim decide that this fight isn't happening, it's done. So I was like, okay, whatever.
Okay, so Brad Gabriel's in New Jersey, and okay, so that's did you have knees in that fight against Brad Gabriel? Because Big John McCarthy, both of my information literally comes out of the mouth of Big John McCarthy, not to me, but in an interview that I overheard. That's a yes. Yeah.
Knees were allowed in that fight.
Okay.
It was a very, again, it was this first sanctioned fight. So they're like, you can throw knees to the head of a grounded opponent. And then they'd be like, don't do it too much. I'm like, look, what's the rules? Can I throw knees to the head of a grounded opponent? Yes or no? And they're like, yes, you can. I'm like, okay, I'm throwing knees. So it was clearly stated that knees were allowed.
Okay, so Brad Gabriel, here, let me rephrase it. He's 2-0. That's where Dr. Don Coletta and Larry Hazard were in attendance and involved within the rules meeting. It's in Jersey. I thank you, Joey, for correcting me. And the knees to a grounded opponent were banned in the United States because of you.
Yeah, that's my rule.
Okay, that's the Gan McGee rule. Okay, there we go. John Hackleman.
He's partly responsible for the 12-6 elbow. He was in the room. He was in the room. Whatever.
I didn't argue strongly enough against it, I guess. It's my fault. I'll take responsibility.
And then you get the call to the UFC. So you're looking at September 30th, and then you're November 17th. So you roll right into it. UFC 28. You fight Josh Barnett. What kind of time? Were you a last minute guy, or did you have ample time to prepare for this?
I had time to prepare. It was I don't remember exactly how much, but I had time to prepare. It wasn't like a last second thing.
Yeah, you got two undefeated guys colliding at the UFC. Rather than kind of build them, they threw both you guys to the wolves. That's an interesting matchup.
It's only 7 weeks after his last fight.
Yeah, and if you look at like the totality of what he did prior to that,
yeah,
it's all kind of right together. Like you really haven't any time off. You're in camp after camp. Is that affected you at all?
No, I liked that. I mean, I liked training and I liked fighting, so that wasn't a problem. And not to be make excuses or do this kind of thing, but I had weird, like kind of weird health stuff, right? I had so the Josh Barnett fight, that's where I figured out I had asthma. And it was John had a friend, I think it's was it a Dr. Turbo? Is that the guy's name, John?
No, it wasn't terrible.
Istrico, you're talking about the UFC doctor, Dr. Istrico?
No, it was
No, this was a friend of
do I
John's
know
who was
that?
at the fight. And so I fight Josh Barnett, and I'd had this sort of just this tightness in my chest, and in that whole training camp, I felt terrible. I couldn't shake it. I would, I'd train and I'd have these coughing fits, and it make me vomit. They'd be so violent, and I go have, and I'm like, I love fighting, and there's no stopping me, and I didn't care if I was hurt. I didn't care, what was going on. I was fighting, and so I went and I fought, and I first round handled him pretty well, and the second round I just could not breathe. I just I just gasped horribly, and not from a lack of training, not from that, just from this whatever. I thought I was sick, and I was just, well, I'm just gonna fight through it. And so after the fight, I'm vomiting my guts out for 45 minutes in the locker room, and Dr. Turbo comes in and he's like, "You, sir, have asthma," and he writes me a prescription for some inhalers, and that really helped. That really really helped the lung issue going forward after that.
Now, was this your only UFC fight that you didn't have to make 265? Because you fought this one at like 290 something.
Yeah, that was before the 265 weight class and all of that. This was just, they just let people go fight.
Wild West.
So there's only like 2 super heavyweight fights that have ever taken place in the UFC. This is one of them. You and Josh Barnett's one of them. And the other one is Chief Andre Roberts versus Harry Moskowitz.
Water.
Huh?
Well, he fought Waterman also.
He fought Water. Yeah. Oh, okay.
He didn't make 265 for that. He was.
So there's three super heavyweight fights
that I can think of.
Oh, that's got to be it. Chief Andre Roberts is not making. I think there was actually a belt against Waterman. I think there may have been a super heavyweight belt for like one fight.
I'll have to look at it.
It's going to drive me up a wall. John Hackleman. We're talking Gan McGee with asthma. Do you attribute it to anxiety? Do you think may have been a little anxiety leading into this fight?
I mean, asthma's, I have some experience with asthma. And there's a lot, yes and no. There's physical attributes like exercise induced asthma, which is, probably I'd bet a couple $1,000 maybe that's what Gan had, because that's what fighters, they get it when they're training really hard, and they call it exercise induced asthma. And there's ways around it, and some people have allergies, and some people are just stressed all the time, and it presents itself as asthma. So asthma is a tricky anomaly, because it can come from all kind of different reasons, and you don't know why. You just want to breathe better, so you don't care why, really. You just want to get the fucking inhaler and be done with it.
All right, so the second portion we've kind of addressed it already. Rocky Battistini is April 11th, 2001. The rumor was that this is where it took place, that the 12-6 elbows were banned in the UFC, or in the USA, was because of this fight. Did you hit him with some 12-6 elbows?
I don't know what the rules. They might have been different rules. That was one of the casino fights. But the rule was already in place. I believe at that point.
So the rumor
wasn't that after the WE, or no, that was before that was before New Jersey. So it was probably just legal.
Yeah. I was going to events where headbutts were taking place at this point. So I think like the last fight with headbutts in the United States was in like 2008. So there's still some time and distance. There was also a rumor that Battistini was the guy that petitioned John McCain in regards to the issues with mixed martial arts, and he used this fight as his example, like him being on the receiving end. Did you ever hear that?
I've never heard anything about that. I always thought it was just one of the most silly rules ever in MMA. Like, you can throw an elbow this way, you can throw an elbow, this way, but not straight up and down. It's
you
just,
could do 11. I would ask him at the rules meeting, can you throw an 11 to 5? And the referee would always stop the rules meeting, and they just say, just shut up, because it made no sense. Because you realize, okay, here's a rule, and I've seen it. You can, even if you're on the ground, you couldn't 12-6 somebody's foot. That's illegal.
Yeah, but if you're in side control, you could throw that downward elbow into their head, and that was fine.
Right.
But just not vertical to down. I don't know. Right. I don't get it. It was just because it's
not
weird
supposed
rule.
to make sense, is it?
Yeah.
The UFC right now is struggling. They're struggling because a lot of the wrestlers that they're getting from Europe, Dagestan in particular, they're pinning guys and just riding out every single round with the opponent on their back. That 12-6 elbow could stop that, especially if you're on your back. Like, it's making a fight, like an actual fight. It's weird. Seth Petruzelli, Joey, June 30th, 2001, WEC 1.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the niche of the head of a grounded opponent.
Right? You
got a different one.
Now you heel hook them. We
Seth
do it.
usually does good against oversized opponents, but you had his number that night.
It's the most bizarre thing ever. You got this guy that's 6'10", and he pulls off a heel hook.
It's the last finish that I would anticipate.
It's
Yeah,
bizarre.
Scott
we had
Adams.
a lot of heel hookers. We had Scott Adams. We
Scott
had a lot of
Adams
guys
was
who
a
did it.
stud.
So I could play that game. I wasn't scared of playing that game a little bit. I kind of have very large heels, so they're big targets. That if you get a hold of them, you really got something to get a hold of. So I would be cautious with it, but I was very comfortable countering heel hooks. Cafe Dantas was trying to heel hook me, and I was very comfortable. Just slowly, methodically cleared it, and then was able to knock him out. So yeah, I could do them. I liked them, and I felt pretty comfortable countering them.
It's your only submission win. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's I ground and pounded a lot of guys.
Yeah, you
What
did.
can I say? I like that. I had a pretty good system for it. I would, I'd get like a top position, and I really liked elbows, and punching, whatever. But I would, I try and inflict damage. My goal wasn't to try and pepper them with punches. Usually, it was I wanted to nail them. I wanted to do something. So I would grab a hand and pull it down and pin it out of the way, even if it's just for a second, and I'd time, an elbow, boom, one big shot, and then I'd grab the other arm, pull it over, and time an elbow on the other side, and or land a big hook or something like that. So um, I didn't use a lot of the subs, but I did learn them. I did enjoy submission wrestling and all that kind of grappling stuff.
To be clear, quite a few guys submitted, but it was usually from strikes, like you said.
Yeah.
Joe, you've got an observation about his independent grind as well.
Yeah, you're a California guy. You had quite a few fights on the independent grind, but you avoided King of the Cage, or they avoided you, one or the other. How come you never fought for Terry?
It just didn't work out. I don't know. Well,
You
I
just
wasn't
got a
avoiding
better
anyone.
deal from IFC.
Yeah, I guess I got a deal somewhere else. I mean, I didn't really find the fights myself. That was someone else's job. I just showed up and fought.
That was just one interesting thing that popped out as a California guy. Like, where are the King of the Cage fights?
John Hackleman, is there any preferred promoters that you really liked putting your guys in?
Uh, Scott Adams, Dana. I like Scott Coker. I really like Scott Coker. Yeah, I don't know. Scott Coker is probably my first, really, he started here. He started in
Hawaii.
California, and
He's
I
Hawaiian
like
too.
working with him.
Yeah.
What?
He's Hawaiian too, right? Coker?
He has a connection, Coker. Yeah, he has a connection. I don't know if he's from Hawaii, but he has some local blood in him, and I just like him. And like I said, Dana, obviously, even though I don't know how many people would say that, but I just thought he was, yeah, I don't know.
So Gan, when Dana was managing Chuck in the beginning, would he come around the gym a lot? Like, did you ever interact with Dana?
I did meet him.
Dana.
I did know him. He wasn't necessarily around the gym a lot. He was in Vegas, and we
He
would
never
we'd see
came
him
in the
when we were
gym,
out
did he?
there.
Did he ever come in the gym?
Dana White, I not that I can remember.
All right. So
I
I
can't
mean, we,
either.
we saw
okay.
him in Vegas.
Okay. So how
Yeah.
does a Vegas guy grab Chuck and Tito? And he's never really been to the gym. He's kind of an outsider. I mean, does he come with sponsorship money? How does he land that? Like even Chuck didn't know.
Yeah, I think it started with Tito, and I think. Oh, you know what? I think there's Tito in the picture, but I think it started with John Lewis. So Chuck and John Lewis
That makes
were good
sense.
friends, right? They're good. Well, wait, no,
So
because they were friends.
John was doing privates for the Fertitas.
Yeah. So did he
Yeah,
meet
that was
him
the
after?
connection. That was the connection.
I
We met him
guarantee you're
through
right.
those guys.
Yeah.
Guarantee you're right. That's a good call. That's a
Yeah.
good call.
Something like that.
So Scott Adams has got the WEC, a guy from your gym. Did you guys have any idea that the WEC would become what it was at this point?
Yeah, and I don't think we're just thinking of what's happening right then and there. We didn't really I don't think we were really planning it. I don't know if he was, but he was a pretty damn for his. I don't. Where's Scott Adams? Where
I
is he?
think is he still working there? I think he's
Where is
still.
he?
I've not seen that guy in years. I really haven't. I should look him up and see how he's doing.
Nobody's gonna see him. You're not gonna get in touch with him. He's AWOL. He is absolutely AWOL. And he was promoting. He started a new promotion again out of the blue after he disappeared for a few years in Utah. And we got a few fights there, including Court McGee and some of the other guys. And I think I ran into him. Did we run into him once? No, I talked to him on the phone or some once, but everybody says the same thing. AWOL. No, you cannot get in touch with him. I'll bet you can't. I'll bet you dinner. I'll bet you dinner, Gan, at Oh, okay. I'll bet you dinner at what's your favorite restaurant in Slow?
Oh, jeez, dude.
What is your favorite restaurant in Slow?
Anywhere I can buy a steak, man. Anywhere I can buy a steak.
Oh yeah. I think mine would be what's that place you go for breakfast?
I don't know.
What's it called? The breakfast place. Luisa's.
That's not the
Oh,
best.
That's a good breakfast place. But okay, well, I'll bet you can't get in touch with him. He's gone. I don't know where.
No.
He just poof.
Well, Gan doesn't really have much of a social media presence either. He wasn't the easiest guy to get a hold of.
No.
I think it's kind of
I honestly
intentional.
stay away from it. I don't really care.
That's healthy.
Yeah, I'm happy. I've got my kids. I'm busy, and I don't know. I'm not that interested in it.
That's smart move. So Seth Petruzelli, who has got an incredible career, you get in and out with a heel hook in like record time in that fight.
Was it just a quick double leg and a double leg take him down and then throw the heel hook, I think?
It's such a, like Joey and I were watching this fight. We're like, wait a minute, let's start it again.
Yeah.
Maybe something else takes place that we don't see. Wait, let's watch it again. Like it was just like, what is this? This giant of a human being takedown, heel hook, in, out, see you later. And like it doesn't surface again after this.
Yeah.
Huh. Ron Faircloth. That's another.
That was a quick one.
The blunt instrument. Ron Faircloth, October 4th, 2001, future UFC veteran, 50 Fight Club member as well. I've seen Ron fight at least 25 times. Kind of a tragic tale with him. But what was your experience like with Ron?
Well, that fight, I mean, I went out
quick.
and I was like, okay, I'll throw a quick left hook and kind of feel him out. And I throw the hook and it just rocks him. And I'm like almost caught off guard, like, oh goodness. So then I step in, I throw a right head kick and he basically fell under it. I spun around on the kick and I kind of just landed on top of him in kind of a sprawl position and just started punching him in the head, and they stopped the fight. And that's 12 seconds.
Yeah, Ron Faircloth, just so everybody can kind of understand this, later on in his career, he became susceptible. But at this point, Ron is a phenomenal nail. Like Ron's ability to absorb punishment and make you tire out from punching him is kind of how the majority of his victories took place, which he also suffered the ramifications for later on in life. Yeah. Like I
remember the promoter came up, and he said, it looked like it was a little bit of an early stop. And he's like, then I talked to Ron Faircloth the next day and he couldn't remember the entire night. Wow. So he's like, hey, that was a good stop. Yeah.
Yeah, the blunt instrument, Ron Faircloth. Huh. You actually get some time off at this point. You take a year off, almost a year, before you head in with Pedro Rizzo at UFC 39. What was the reason? I
just couldn't find fights. People started ducking.
I could see
pretty
that
bad at that point. Yeah. I couldn't find the fights.
John Hackleman, was it difficult trying to line Gan up with opponents?
On my end, it was. On my end was hearing. We would talk to, different people, but I wasn't. I was understanding that he just didn't fight because he was knocking the shit out of everybody. So until you make it to the very top of the, which he was on his way to doing. Until you're there, people can turn you down until you're in a position where you don't get a say so. So they're obviously their managers had the say so. So what is they're gonna say? Oh yeah, we'll take that fight with Gan McGee. Oh, nobody's gonna say that because they're getting knocked out if they do. So they're not gonna fight him until they have to, right? So the people start off like Gan, nobody knows them, so they'll fight him. Then all of a sudden they do know him, so they won't fight him, right? And now up until then, until they get to the UFC, from then it's going to be, almost impossible to get fights for him. So that's any fighter, and it was definitely Gan.
Yeah, it's gotta be frustrating. Yeah, you're sitting in the gym, waiting.
Fight me. You
Yeah,
want to?
phone's not ringing. Yeah.
Yeah, they're not gonna. They know better. Why would they?
At this point too, a guy like Gan has got to be offering his services for free in order to get an opponent,
Right.
and they're still not biting.
Yeah.
Wow. Pedro Rizzo, in my opinion, he is the greatest fighter never to win a UFC belt. And you got him at UFC 39, September 27th, 2002. He's 12-3, and he's fresh off his match with Kevin Randleman, where he got a nasty cut on his nose from a headbutt. Are you nervous going into that?
I didn't know he'd had a previous injury.
No, he wasn't. I'll answer his question. He wasn't nervous for that fight. Outwardly, he wasn't outwardly nervous because that fight was he was anxious. I mean, not anxious. Anxious. He was anxious for that fight. I know that. He
I
wanted
was,
that.
and John had watched video, and Pedro had this mechanical habit of dropping his right when he threw his jab, and I loved throwing my left hook. So I was able to really nail him with a lot of good left hooks in that fight. I actually broke my left hand, my left index knuckle got kind of caved in. I didn't notice it in the fight, but like what I noticed, when I tried my takedowns, I couldn't grip his leg. Like I tried to take down, like my hands just won't stay on it, and so I thought, well, maybe my hands got taped too tight and they're a little numb or something like that. Maybe something like that's going on. So I just kept punching.
Dude,
And then
Rizzo was a savage. He was a
he was a beast.
legit savage.
His kicks felt like a horse. Like it felt like a horse kicking. He kicked so hard it was insane.
When we talked to Rizzo about this fight, you kind of look at a breakdown in the corner, and I wasn't sure what took place. Obviously, he was bleeding on the nose, but it looked like Huas was just furious at him, and he didn't want to continue. And he said, no. The headbutt from Kevin Randleman was so severe that my nose couldn't heal, and I needed plastic surgery. And I never got it done, and it just my nose fell apart.
I hit him with a hard overhand right.
Yeah.
And it opened up a dime-sized gash on the side of his nose and moved his nose right over to the side of his face. And after, like, I don't know what happened with Randleman, but after that fight, he was in the hospital because, I heard he was in the hospital for hours having surgery.
Yeah. This was his first loss that was not in a title fight, and like he had to go to therapy. Like this his words, not ours. I had to go to therapy to become meaner. I was just too nice of a guy, and I wanted to win, but I didn't really want to hurt people. And it sounded like he was just kind of tortured mentally, but loved to fight, but didn't want to really hurt anybody. It was just such a bizarre state of mind to be in, to where you enjoyed hurting people at this point.
In a fight and in a thing like that, absolutely. I'm not like I've never been into drowning kittens or anything weird like that. But yeah, in a fight, in a competition like that, yeah, I'd have no problem hurting somebody. That's the kind of the point. That's the competition, and I wouldn't be upset or feel bad about someone hurting me.
Yeah, you got Dantas as well, incredibly experienced and accomplished grappler at UFC 41. You knock him out. Like
Is that Atlantic City?
No, second.
I think it was.
Or was it? Was that Mohegan Sun?
What was that?
That's a cool
That might
venue.
have been another casino, right?
Really?
India casino. Yeah. I don't
Was it?
remember.
Yeah, it was back east somewhere.
Yeah.
That's the
Onslaught,
Oh, that was
UFC
Atlantic City.
41.
You're right. That was Atlantic City. I remember.
Atlantic City. That's right. Boardwalk Hall.
Yeah, Mohegan. So
We went
it's
out to dinner that night, and the waitress was upset because she thought Cafe Dantas was really cute, and she was mad that I knocked him out.
He made him less cute.
Yeah.
yeah, he was a stud. And you wind up fighting for the world title September 26, 2003, UFC 43, Tim Sylvia. He's 15-0 at this point. What was your recollection heading into that bout?
My recollection, it was that fight was a lot. There was a lot of people in my ear telling me, they're gonna buy me a car if I win and all this kind of stuff. I was having a lot at that point. I was having a lot of problems with my left hand that I'd broken. I kept re-injuring it in training, and it was just this swollen mess. And so that fight, going into that fight, like my hand was hurting so much. When I would spar, I would just reach out with my left hand, and I would kind of tap people on the face with my palm, just to kind of have the timing down for my hook. And that was kind of my motion, and I was doing that a lot. And so that fight, when I watched that fight, two times I reach out with my left hand and I touch his cheek. I brush my hand on his cheek, and I'm like, that's two times I could have bombed a hook. That's what I remember of that fight. And then I was like, what am I doing? I'm out there, like, why? I just did this. I trained this so much that I did this motion. And so I bomb a hook, and but at this point he had put his hand up because I touched his face twice. And I just ripped a hook, and I'm just hitting him in the hand. I don't care, and it knocks him sideways. And well, it hit him. And after the fight, he actually came up and was like how the fuck do you throw hooks that hard? He was like, that thing was scary. I'm so glad I had my hand up. You know.
Well, I looked at like some interviews right around this time and some of the print interviews, and it seemed like this fight really weighed heavy on you, not getting that victory.
Yeah, it was a tough one. It was a tough loss. And after the fight, UFC just completely dropped my contract. Um, Completely dropped my contract and just walked away. Like they were like, yeah, you're done.
That's such
So I went, you go
bullshit.
from a title fight, you're the number one contender in a title fight, and then they
Why?
just dump you. Just dump
Why
you.
would they do that? Why did they do that? That's
And
weird.
I
the
I
guy who
honestly think it
beat
was
you,
my fault.
Yeah.
the,
I,
Why?
the
I
guy
I don't think I wasn't that guy who could really sell a fight. I didn't have that, that big personality. And I should have worked on those things more. I should have worked on the showmanship and because that what they really want is they want a guy who's going to sell pay-per-views and sell
right.
tickets.
Well,
So
Tim's.
that's on me.
I mean,
Tim
Tim's.
Sylvia wasn't that guy either, and he tested positive after the fight. So that's frustrating.
Right. And so after the fight, basically I was, look, he cheated. Like let's just have a rematch,
Yeah.
I'm not asking for a disqualification and you give me a win I didn't get. Let's just have a rematch. Have him test clean and let's have a rematch. Because he put on, like, I was watching him at weigh-ins at UFC's prior to that, and he would be wearing his jeans, and he would actually take things from other guys on his team and put them in his pockets to weigh in heavier because he was light. He wasn't that heavy. And he shows up for that fight, and he didn't even make weight the first time. He shows up at, he's like 275. Um, so yeah, there you have it.
Joey, you and I through the conversations we had during the week. It's interesting because when Josh Barnett tests positive, it becomes no contest with Randy Couture when he beats Randy Couture, and then Tim Sylvia tests positive against Gan McGee, and it's
Still
a
a win.
loss. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a win and a loss for Gan.
It
It's like
there was some shady stuff in there, like Chuck talked to a lawyer friend of his in Vegas who arranged to go to the commission hearings on it and plead my case. The case got intentionally rescheduled without telling the lawyer so that he couldn't show up. He was called after and kind of told laughingly that, hey, it just happened and you missed it. We rescheduled it. So there was some shady stuff that happened there.
John Hackleman. What was your recollection of the aftermath of this?
The aftermath of the fight or the
Well, I mean, you got a guy that tests positive for steroids. It's a loss on his record, and he gets cut from the UFC. I mean, and that's kind of a reoccurring theme for the UFC at this time. Jeff Monson's another one. So it's got to kind of leave a bad taste in everybody's mouth, especially because Chuck and Dana have got such a good relationship. Like it shouldn't happen to you guys in theory.
and
Well,
I don't know.
again, I'm not going to blame. Like the fault was mine. I was not good at selling the fights. I was not good at promoting, and I think they were like happy that I wasn't going to be there. You know, they were like, cool, we're not going to have to deal with this.
That's
So it's
one way to
probably
put
my
it.
bad. It's my bad.
That's a hard thing to say. Imagine, yeah, thanks for fighting for a world title. We really didn't want you here in the first place. Take care. Like what?
A cheater beats you, and we're done with you. That's bullshit.
Like
I
what?
would. I don't think it's that. I don't know what it is, but I don't think. I think Gan. I think Gan had his way, and it wasn't her in everybody's face. But I think things about him. The a lot of things. His simplistic. He was just. He's real like a quiet guy. He just lived a simple life, and he was freakishly big, and the way he knocked people out. I think a lot of times that makes up for out of the fight antics. I think the fact that he knocked so many people out so viciously. I don't think that's why they would. I don't know what it. I have no idea what it is, but I can't see that happening because you got too many knockouts and brutal things on your way out up
Dude,
there.
dude,
I don't think.
savage,
I don't. It was
savage
kind
knockouts.
So
Like
I don't.
here. Okay, let me just set the table here. Again, you don't get drunk and go and getting into bar fights. You're not beating up your old lady. You're not swinging at the cops. You're only knocking your opponents out in like crazy fashion, and we don't want you here anymore. It's just like how can you not market that?
The
Who,
UFC had
who,
fewer slots back then. It's not like they had a roster like today. You know,
That's
there was
true.
less openings.
That's true.
who was
That's
getting
true.
all your fights then? Who was it? Was it Scott Adams?
Doing the promoting with Scott and Chuck both together. They're still doing that stuff. You were teaching me
Because
to knock people out.
no, but who was like your main guy talking to Dana? Because it couldn't have been Chuck, right? Because they had a great relationship. Was it Dana? Maybe was it Scott?
I don't know exactly what was going on there. I've heard kind of rumors that Dana may have had some kind of problem with someone else in Chuck's camp, maybe Scott or something like that,
Yeah,
and that getting rid of me was the way of sort of taking that out on him. I don't know that for sure. That's just hearsay that I've kind of heard.
yeah. I
But
never heard that. I never heard that, but I have no idea. I was on the other side saying left hook, left hook, left hook. That's all I know how to do. Is yell,
With
make crude jokes.
yeah, with Scott Adams, whatever issues they took place between those two, Scott did phenomenally well with the WEC. And like at one point, like if you compared the cards and the names on the cards, they would oftentimes look and feel and even history will tell you they aged better than what the UFC was putting out at the exact same time.
that was
Adams,
that was really nice. It was nice having
yeah,
a competing company.
yeah,
UFC kind of ended up buying up all the other big shows and being the only show in town for a while there. So it was nice. It was nice when WEC was there. It was nice when Pride was there. Um, just you could go somewhere else if you wanted to.
yeah.
Yeah.
You end up going over to Pride February 1st, 2004. Pride 27. Heath Herring is your opponent. What was your experience like with travel? Did you like the culture? Like what was your thoughts of Pride in general?
Well, so that fight, I'd had, like I said, I had weird health stuff, right? So um, part of that was asthma, part of that was arthritis, part of that was I later developed a hypothyroid condition. So at this point, I had a lot of arthritis, and my left shoulder particularly was really hurting a lot. And so I was kind of, thinking like, am I going to get surgery? So I wasn't training. I wasn't really training at all. And they called me up and were like, "Hey, do you want to fight Heath Herring in 10 days or something like 11 days, whatever it was?" And I was like, "Yeah, I want to fight. Like let's do this." And so they flew us out. That the flights were not comfortable. 12 hours on an airplane was not comfortable. I'll say that. My knees on an airplane sit on the chair in front of me. If I'm in couch. And but it was fine. I actually really liked the culture. It was a fun place to visit because um, you know just just such an interesting experience. Like you get a cab in Japan. The cabs are absolutely clean. The cabbie runs to grab your bag and put it in the back of their car. You know, and there'd be you'd be in this giant city, and then around every corner you'd find like some 600-year-old little Buddhist temple that you could go check out. So I enjoyed it. Enjoyed the culture. The people were very friendly. The food was good. Yeah.
What about the no steroid clause? Was it made abundantly clear to you that they weren't
No,
testing?
there's no steroid clause.
No, it was abundantly clear that they didn't care about steroids at all. The drug test paper was again, it was pretty hysterical. It's like it lists like they would test basically for insurance reasons. So it's things like marijuana and all this kind of stuff. But we absolutely don't test for steroids. It's like, okay, cool. I never felt I needed them, so I wasn't worried about it.
So you didn't. Well, you also took it on 10 days notice. That's like one of the complaints too. It's they never gave you enough time to get ready for your fight, and when you fly into Japan, sometimes it would fly in the day before you weighed in, and your lungs are shot from being in the airplane. And just kind of you got to blow your lungs out and decompress.
They had their favorites, and Heath was one of their favorites.
Yeah, I that was a fun fight. I mean that one I was in absolutely no kind of shape at all. Like just not at all. And there is a 10-minute first round and then 2 5-minute periods, right? And that first 10 minutes, I was just so gassed, so tanked, so dead. I go back to the corner and I'm getting like a pep talk from Seth Liddell, one of my guys I trained with. And I'm there with Eric Schwartz, who's just one of the funniest guys you'll ever meet. And they give me some water. They're like, rinse your mouth out. And then he holds up this little thing he's like, spit in this. And I turned to spit and I missed the thing and just spit right all over his pants. And so Eric just goes, or just spit all over my pants, And so we're just in the corner cracking up, having a good time. And then then go out and fight the rest of the time. It was just pure gut fight. Like I just had to gut it out. I was not at all in shape.
Heath Herring might be at this point in his career is one of the most durable human beings in the entire sport of mixed martial arts. You cracked him several times and he ate it.
Yep. Yeah, that's really bad left shoulder, really messed up left hand. So that fight, I peppered him with a lot of left hooks. He had cuts. He had cuts under both eyes. His eye was swollen shut from my left hook. Um, and when I watched the fight, I watched the fight and I think I landed more punches and I did more damage. I thought I won the fight. When I watched the fight, I think Heath Herring was the favorite and he got the win, and that happens. That's part of the game.
If you look at his fight with Tom Erickson, like Tom Erickson was just a world beater that even high end wrestlers went out of their way to avoid, and Heath Herring solved that puzzle, which was shocking.
Yeah, he's a good dude too. I like him. I like him a lot.
He's doing like computer stuff right now. He's like an executive, like a high end executive. 2 young kids, like it's. I thought the guy was like a bounty hunter or like on the run in Mexico, and he's like a shirt and tie guy. Like you see him on LinkedIn, you're like, wait, that's the guy that fought in Japan? Yeah,
Yeah.
interesting.
So after that fight, we both went to the hospital. and he got a CAT scan, and I got my left hand X-ray.
Okay, I got to ask a question about this card. There was a guy on the card, Corey Peterson, the LA Giant. Do you have any memories of him? He was the only guy on the card as big as you.
He was bigger than me. That guy
Was he?
was Shaq tall. That was an interesting experience. That I shook his hand and my hand just disappeared into his. I'm like,
Really?
okay, like this dude is huge, like huge. He's probably, I think he's 4 inches taller than me.
Whoa.
Big dude.
Japan loved that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the internet went crazy about the guy, saying he was a Nazi. I guess he had some Nazi tattoos. But anyway, he was the only time he fought on a big MMA card. So I had to ask about him.
Sure it was an accident. Yeah, he
Sure.
had no idea. John Hackleman, what about you with Japan? Were you a fan of it?
Yes, I love Japan. I love everything about it.
What about the travel, the kind of the restrictions?
Beautiful place. The travel, I hate that. Yeah, when I say everything about it, I hate the flight. Yeah, you know what I got stuck with on the flight? One of the flight, because I've been going to Japan since I was fighting, and then again when Chuck was fighting. But when Chuck was going over there for Alistar Overeem, I said, I sat next to Remp is fucking hilarious. And they knew they were gonna end up fighting, and I had talked to him before, but sitting on that plane ride for next to him, like right next to him, it
Against
was
who? With who?
Rampage. Rampage has one of the best personalities in MMA I've ever come across. He's just so real. It's unbelievable. But anyway, so that was it. But no, I like Japan. It's so clean, and the people seem to have like real morals and stuff. And I don't know.
And Semmy Schilt was your next experience out that way, which that's a nightmare for anybody.
Yeah, that was the same thing. I'm still, got the shoulder injuries, the hand injuries, and they call up again and they're like, "Hey, you want to go fight Sammy Schultz?" Yep. Yeah, I'll jump on the plane. Let's go. And
10 days out again?
what?
Was it
Yes,
like
around that, like less than 2 weeks, 10, 11 days, something like that.
oh,
And yeah, went and again had a chance, got a takedown, got mount. Um, if elbows were allowed, which of course they're not in Japan, but if elbows were allowed, that could have been a different ending right there. But he was an incredibly strong guy. He had a really strong grip. He was able to fight really well off his back. Um, and it was, again, it was just not at all in shape. And I tried getting out of the kind of working out of the mount and getting to where I could throw a heel hook, and I threw the heel hook. I had the heel hook locked, but I didn't have the strength left to turn it. And he was able to pull on top of me, and I think he grabbed an arm bar.
when you see his fight with Pete Williams, like you kind of understand that his strength is next level.
He's a very strong guy, very good fighter.
Yeah, his K1, I mean, his K1 record is impeccable. Like he doesn't have a single loss on his record that he hasn't avenged. Like he's the greatest K1 fighter in history of that incredible sport.
This card had Giant Silva on it. Like it was just chock full of giants. The pride people, they knew how to put on a show.
It's I like the circus. I
Yeah,
enjoyed it.
me too.
So
That
Gan
was fun
McGee,
stuff from the early days where they'd have like a sumo wrestler fighting like a boxer or something.
Yeah.
The circus was fun.
yeah, I miss those days. Yeah, I like a circus. I've got absolutely no problem with it. Gan, you this is the first interview you've ever done. First podcast, I should say, you've ever done. Is that intentional on your end?
You
You
know,
gotta get
I
asked. You gotta get asked.
it's not something I'm really, looking to do. I've had a little my little, 15 minutes of fame, and I'm good. You know, I don't need more people, talking about me. I don't need a lot of adoration from others. And I appreciate every now and again someone remembers some of my fights and says hi and we talk about it a little bit. But I'm not looking to rekindle anything at this point.
We got Chuck. We got Chuck for that.
Yeah.
Oh my God. We've been having to have be in Chuck's shadow. Oh my God, I hate saying that. But he's such Chuck is such a gracious, great. I think you'll agree with me. Just a great. I mean, he's like a little brother to me, and just such a he's just such a great friend, and so it's excused that everywhere I go, oh, you look like Chuck Liddell, or oh, you weren't you Chuck's trainer? I was like, I have a name, you fucker. Just it's like I'm John, okay? But so we got Chuck here in slow where we can just be we're like what's a B-lister? Are we a B-listers? We're okay. If there was no Chuck here, we'd be the top dogs. Fucker. He took our thunder.
He can have it. He can have it. He can keep it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I think our lives are pretty damn good, don't you?
Pretty awesome.
Pretty damn good.
So, Gan, what were your sparring sessions like with Glover?
Um, they were solid. I don't I don't think I was really training for a fight or anything super serious when I sparred him. So we were just kind of working, kind of doing our thing. He's a good puncher. He has heavy hands. I remember the first day we're sparring. He comes in and I tag him with a few quick punches. I had pretty good control. I kind of had to not break training partners. And he eats a few punches and then like kind of tags me. And he does that a couple of times, and I'm kind of like, all right, I can start dialing this up. I'm gonna start tagging you back. And he really, really quickly was like, if I'm eating three punches, I probably shouldn't hit you like that. And I was like, fair enough, man. And we sparred, and it was a great session. Worked really well together.
How were he and Chuck? I mean, there's kind of I remember hearing, no, there's a guy at the gym named Glover Teixeira, and him and Liddell are neck and neck. And I like it was kind of hard to believe. And then, he goes to Brazil, comes back, and even the myth is even larger by that time. And
Well, when they were sparring, I was probably training and sparring with my own guys. So John would be the guy who
They
really kept
weren't.
an
They
eye on
weren't.
that.
Yeah, they weren't. It was honestly like two brothers getting each other ready for a fight, and there was never anything but they were working hard, but they weren't hitting hard.
okay,
So they were definitely two. They were definitely partners, and it
that's cool.
showed. Yeah. So
That's cool. Gan McGee,
Uh,
what's your favorite? And we're winding up right now. What's your favorite memory from your fight career involving your team?
Favorite one, like one memory. Jeez.
You had one.
Um, I don't know. I pick one. I don't know if I can do that. I just loved the entire experience. I loved fighting, the bond that we had with the other fighters. I mean, I remember, Chuck Liddell invited me over to his house for, Thanksgiving dinners and things like that. The friendship, the camaraderie, um, it was a great group of guys to be around.
That's phenomenal. Phenomenal. Man, Gan, I sincerely appreciate this. I know this wasn't easy getting together, and there was a little outside pressure in order to make this happen. And I really, really appreciate your time, man. I
Oh,
really
it's been
do.
a really nice chat. I love sitting down and talking about old fight days. So yeah, thanks for listening to some of my old stories.
Excellent. John Hackleman, stick around for a little bit. Thank you so much, Gan. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And John, the camaraderie and love from the guys from the pit, it's just I think you had an ability to find people and just they bought into the program and they didn't leave it. Like the pit was more of a family than it was a team.
Still is, yeah, still is. Now it's just a different. We're going in a different direction. It's more less fighters now, but it's still a family gym, the Pit Ohana, you know. Chuck, yes, Glover, yes, the 5-year-old kids that are training at our gym, yes, their parents, yes, and my fighters, and I've been lucky enough to have guys, like Chuck. Chuck was the main guy, the first guy. But then I've had others like Gan and Glover and that whole group. It was a family.
Well, here, just so people can kind of understand. These guys you're getting from beginning, middle, and end. Here are the guys that fought for world titles with you. You got Antonio Banuelos when he fought Miguel Torres. You got Gan McGee versus Tim Sylvia. You got Chuck Liddell, and you got Glover Teixeira.
Got Lighty, K1.
Scott Lighty, K1. Who? There's 5. Okay.
Matt, I didn't get him from the get go, but I trained Matt Lindland his entire camps for probably 10 of his fights.
Okay.
He fought for the title.
Okay, but we're looking at
Matt Lindland.
You take Matt Lindland. Okay, but you're looking at 5 guys right there.
Yeah.
That you had from day one all the way to the end of their career. So, and I'm repeating myself here. You got trainers where guys kind of come in and out, open mats. They kind of attach themselves to an athlete. Then you got big game hunters where guys just, they want the buck with the 15 horns on it, and they don't really have to deal with the little fawns. And then you got your coaches, which is the hardest to find out of all of them, where they take somebody from beginning, middle, and end. You've done that 5 times. Most people don't even get that opportunity once.
I'm lucky, and we live in a town of like 15,000. It's a tiny town.
Yeah,
I got lucky, and there was.
Did you? Is that luck? 5 times? That's luck.
Yeah.
well, luck's involved, man. They found their way into your gym, but it's more than luck.
Yeah. It's that camaraderie that of the pit started when I was in LA before I brought it here, and it felt so good. So I had a couple guys fighting amateur stuff even in LA, but the gym was in my backyard, and I was registered nurse working full time. And then when I moved up here, I knew I wanted to have a gym first before anything else in my backyard, so I could recreate that. And I knew I wanted it to be super tough, super real, super fun. We have a crazy sense of humor. It's like, but it seems that seems to attract a lot of people, the right kind of people, so I don't know. Being goofy, I guess.
Well, sometimes fighters will also outgrow their coach, and it's just I just outgrow their trainer. I apologize. And you really never even had that. If anything, your guys would actively recruit people to come and say, no, this is where I'm staying. You need to come here. Like it's pretty incredible. It's unheard of. I mean, it's unheard of.
Yeah. All right. Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
You should see Gan now with his kids obviously are huge and they're tall. It's such a cute because they all came and trained at our gym a little bit, not for long, but his daughters, and he has 2 daughters that how old are those daughters? Like 10? Or what? But they were when they were one of them was 5 and one of them was say 3, and they looked like 6 and 8. He just it's such a cute family. So I think he has a great. I mean, he's made for himself now, and the life he has, it just seems one of these picture perfect endings to a great life.
He seems like he's in a good place. It was good to see. We
Yeah.
don't always get that. It seems like he's in a good place.
Who's not?
Yeah,
The
have you?
people not?
Oh man. Well,
Really?
here. Well, you got to look at it this way. Sometimes guys, their last fight was 15, 20 years ago, and they're constantly posting their UFC pictures.
Yeah.
And it's like sometimes you gotta. It's what you did, not who you are, and you got to close that chapter and move on. And it's healthy. Like
Yeah. Yeah,
it's
like
healthy to kind
me,
of.
like my grade is, oh, are you Chuck Liddell's brother? Oh, that's like my identity. No. At least Gan doesn't have to deal with that. No, I think I love the finish to their life. Chuck, Chuck went through some more of a rocky road there for a while, but he seems to be like doing great again. I hate to see my guys when they don't come out at the other end of it like just great.
But it
So
sounds like you picked a good woman, and that is clutch when it
yeah,
comes to putting your life together.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
no doubt, no doubt. John Hackleman, what you see with some of these trainers, like so I work full time for Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship, so you get like kind of like a peek behind the curtain on some of like the mega gyms. And generally, what they'll do is the coaches will take control of the superstars' social media, and they start inboxing fighters that they like to poach in order to get them into there, and they kind of build a super team that way. They'll take control of the superstars' social media. Hey man, I'd really like to work out with you, even though you're 3 weight classes under me. And it's just like they kind of become enamored and they bring people in. You never did any of that.
When I was trying to have less fighters, not more. Like I've probably turned. I'm not bragging, but I've turned down much more fighters than I've accepted. Even some big, big, big names,
Was
because
that
because you have to have a culture. I want them to fit in our culture. And if I don't feel like it's a good fit, even if they're, top of the game, I'll say, no thanks. So
it
that's
worked? It worked.
yeah, I'm happy. I got lucky with the group too. Look at this guy, Gan McGee. What a good guy he is, huh?
And he's
You're
like he's a giant. Like he's a giant. Like we in South side of Chicago guy, kind of an area known for its street fighting. Whenever you saw like the heavyweights, like when you're in high school, you're like, oh man, we got 2 heavyweights. They're about to go down. More often than not, one of them didn't want to fight. So then you get a guy like Gan going, oh yeah, I'm 6'10". Like the only thing that could happen is him getting embarrassed and everybody talking about it. And he's just didn't get he's special. He's special.
Yeah, most heavyweights walk through their life. They don't have to fight.
No.
Yeah,
So when somebody pulls their card, they're not ready for it. He's not one of
Yeah.
those guys.
No.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Well, sounds good, brothers.
John Hackleman, always a
Thank you.
pleasure. One day we'll get Glover Teixeira. One
Yeah,
day. One
yeah, I
day.
had him.
God willing.
He's such a knucklehead. I have a hard enough time getting him to my events, and he's one of my guys. But I'm going to see him. I think next month he's coming down for a week.
Is he? Good.
Put in a
I'll
word for
try. I'll
us.
try with
Yeah,
him. I'll
please,
try.
though.
Yeah.
I will.
Tell me you know somebody. So, John,
Okay.
thank you,
I'll get
sir.
him.
I appreciate it. Take
All
care.
right.
Thank you, brother.
See you guys.
All right, brother. Thanks.
Move. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you like this type of content, what you're going to do is you're going to like, share, and subscribe. We really need it. If you can prove to us that you've left a review, send us proof. I'll get you off a sticker package. I know it's something small. You can put on your car, your computer, your water bottle. Contact us through Instagram. That's your best bet to contact us. And I'll get you something in the mail. So please like, share, subscribe, and greatly appreciate everybody and all their support. Take care.